Hello everyone and welcome to Outside Interference and to episode number 24 of our Local Global series. I believe that's correct. So almost a quarter way to 100, which is probably how long this series is going to take if I'm being honest. We are at small and we're moving up pretty quick. Obviously the United States tour isn't going to hurt us too much in that regard. But today we don't really have a whole lot to go over, so I think we can just get right into the show. If anything, we do have a hell of a lot of money because of the Fight Night on ESPN deal, obviously. And, you know, what we'll be doing with that money? Well, first off, we're probably going to up production value in everything. $15,000 a month, we can afford it. $7,000, we can't afford that. $7,000 a month, we can do that. And $7,000 a month, we can do that. So, yeah, I think that just about does it. You know, we've upped our production value a little bit. Hopefully ESPN will be happy with that. And hopefully it will help our ratings a little bit, even if we don't really need too much help, because we normally put on pretty good shows. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I do believe that they are suitable, to say the least. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and get right into the show. The Go Home Show for Kings of Old School 2019, and of course Kings of Old School 2019 will be the second show of this episode, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So to start off the show, Jason Kincaid comes out with a mic and says, "As the Iron Man champion, I am offered privileges that others are not. One of those privileges is the opportunity to choose my next challenger. Do I choose my fierce rival and continue our story, or the brash up-and-comer with an army behind him? Quite frankly, I'm having trouble deciding. So tonight, two factions will go to war for their opportunity. The opportunity at my Iron Man title." So Steve Corino, with all the things he has on his plate at the moment, doesn't really have time to come up with a number one contender for the Iron Man title. So instead, he let Jason Kincaid decide, and it will be decided tonight in our main event. Jason Lee will be teaming with Dalton Castle and Fire Ant, the two people who, you know, they have a pretty good history with Chaos. Dalton Castle may be the least of anyone on that team, but, you know, he has come in contact with the members quite a few times, so it shouldn't be that weird. And, you know, he's one of the purest baby faces we have on the roster, especially now that Hiromu Takahashi is gone. So it should be a good match indeed. Moving on to the next segment. In a bout that had decent reaction from the crowd, but unfortunately subpar wrestling, Next Wave defeated LAX in 6:03 when Colby Corino defeated Angel Ortiz by pinfall. And Angel got a 34, Santana got a 32, Flex and Colby both got 31s. And what about the worker improvements? Unfortunately none. A 33 isn't too bad. I would rather have, obviously, closer to a 40, but I can't complain too much about this. Obviously, Colby Corino and Flex Freeman are now wrestling under the banner of Next Wave, and you will find out why in just a moment, as we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment. Colby Corino grabs the mic from the ring announcer before he can declare the winners and says, "I don't know the next time I'm going to have the platform to say this, so I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to send a message to the entirety of the UPW roster. For months now, you've all cried to my dad about not getting a fair shot, not getting what you deserved, and that's something I just can't understand. You see, Flex and I, we aren't like everybody else. We are the new generation, the next wave of professional wrestling. We don't think we deserve anything, but we have earned everything. We don't put our fate in the hands of anyone but ourselves, which is why we are going to be the next UPW Tag Team Champions, whether you like it or not." And then Colby drops the mic and heads to the back with his partner. So some strong words for the rest of the roster from Colby Corino, and obviously it's kind of ironic seeing that he has the most opportunity to be given things, to be given opportunities that others might not, considering that obviously his dad is the booker, but he doesn't want any part of that. He wants to earn what he gets, and he thinks he has, and that's why he and Flex Freeman are going to be taking those UPW Tag Team Championships. At least that's what he is saying. So, 30 rating, and yeah, just some development on the tag scene now that Roppongi Vice are out of the picture for at least a month. We're going to need some new challengers, and I think Colby Corino and Flex Freeman can step nicely into that role. In an extremely short match, Virginia Blackwood defeated Kairi Hojo in 5:08 by pinfall with a handful of tights. Hojo got a 72, and Virginia got a 44 for a 54 rating. So a great rating, especially for Kairi Hojo, Jesus. But Virginia Blackwood with the upset, like extreme upset, because I don't remember the last time Virginia Blackwood won a match, especially against someone of the caliber of Kairi Hojo. So we're going to have to see where this goes, but unfortunately I didn't have time to book an angle after this because, Jesus Christ, this hour time limit for the ESPN deal is very straining on me creatively with the storylines, because I have so many storylines going on at the same time that in order to make everything fit, I have to have these super short matches with these like 2-minute promos, and it's just not ideal. But hopefully we'll be able to get to that hour 30 mark soon enough, and then we can really get rolling. So moving on to the next segment. David Starr burst into Steve Corino's office with a head full of steam. Corino, obviously surprised, says, "What the hell are you doing, Starr? I'm trying to run a show." Starr then replies, pretty nonchalantly, with, 23, Steve. That's the number of wins I've had in UPW since debuting at the first Kings of Old School. But, coincidentally, I haven't had a heavyweight title shot since that day. So excuse me if it rubs me the wrong way to see guys like O'Reilly getting title shots after just one match. I deserve to hold that heavyweight title belt more than anyone else, and you know it. So either you give me that title shot, or I'm taking it. Corino thinks for a moment before speaking and says, "Alright, Starr, I agree. You haven't been treated fairly, and that's my fault. But I can't just pull O'Reilly out of the match. So instead, you will be getting a title shot at Kings of Old School, but it's going to be a triple threat match." Starr shakes Corino's hand and exits his office. So obviously that's not the outcome that David Starr wanted or was expecting, really. But, you know, a title shot's a title shot, even if he has to face Ryan O'Reilly in that match. So we'll see, can David Starr overcome the rise and the champion to become the new UPW heavyweight champion? I guess we'll just have to see at the end of the episode, because undoubtedly that will be the main event. In a decent match, Alex Colon and Homicide defeated Silver Ant and Bill Carr in 8:28 when Alex Colon defeated Bill Carr by pinfall. Homicide carried the match, which is kind of what we expected. He got a 58, Bill Carr got a 36, Silver Ant got a 33, and Alex Colon got a 35 for a 46 rating. No worker improvements, but this was just kind of a match to show that Alex Colon and Homicide, they're still together, they're still here. Even though they haven't been given the time of day by Steve Corino, they are still going to make an impact on the shows, as we'll see in this next segment. Homicide grabs the mic after the match and begins to address the crowd. He says, "You know, Steve, I feel like you're ignoring me. And if there's one thing you should know about me, I don't like to be ignored. So I'm going to give you one last chance to come out here and finish this with me, once and for all." Homicide and Colon wait a few minutes, but they get no response from Corino. Homicide then says, "Well then, I guess you forced my hand." Colon throws a chair to Homicide, who proceeds to brutalize Bill Carr. After beating the big man near unconscious, Homicide closes the chair around Carr's knee, climbs to the top rope, and stomps down on the chair, destroying Carr's knee as Steve Corino and the majority of the babyface roster swarm the ring. So obviously, Homicide not just making waves, but kind of causing a hurricane, brutally injuring Bill Carr. I have no idea when Bill Carr will be back, as this is a serious injury. You know, Steve Corino is starting to lose control of his company at this point. Heels are injuring babyfaces all over the place. I can't imagine how much money UPW has had to pay in medical bills for their talent because of the actions of the few. But with a 48 rating, that's a pretty good segment, and we can go ahead and move on with the show. Hopefully we can continue at this rate. Joel Gertner and Aaron Bauer are sitting at the announce desk preparing for the next match. Bauer says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been given word from UPW founder Steve Corino that if the Bombshells can win their match tonight, they'll get a title shot at Kings of Old School." Joel then replies with, "Wow, if we needed another reason to be excited for this match, then there it is. This could truly make or break the Bombshells' careers." Obviously, the announcers, maybe it's their job to be excited about these things, but a 24 rating, not that great, but as long as it's building their entertainment or microphone, at least a little bit, no official improvements, then I'm okay with that. I'm going to be trying to do more segments like this where it's just the announcers explaining, because I feel like that'll, just add another facet to my angles, and it won't be so repetitive as I've kind of noticed it's starting to get, but hopefully it hasn't been too much of an issue for you guys as we move on to the next segment. In a decent match, the Bombshells defeated Vanessa Craven and Leva Bates in 5:42 when Barbie Hayden defeated Vanessa Craven by pinfall with a handful of tights. Penelope Ford got a 50. Keep in mind this was an eye candy match, so that's why Penelope Ford and Barbie Hayden did so well, and Vanessa Craven did kind of meh. But Penelope Ford got a 50, Hayden got a 40, Leva Bates got a 56, and Vanessa Craven got a 46. The women's division is honestly the most stacked division we have, but at the same time, we don't have a whole lot of women fighting for the title. I mean, not in this case. In this storyline, there's 4 women fighting for the title, but that's more than half of the women's roster, I think. Maybe it is exactly half, something close to it. I am going to be trying to flesh out the women's division in the coming weeks. If you have any suggestions for who I should sign, make sure to leave those in the comments, and I'll make sure to look at those before I go ahead and sim to the next event. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. The main event, a decent match. Team Lee defeat Chaos in 12:09 when Jason Lee defeated JT Dunn by submission. Fire Ant with a 35, Jason Lee with a 39, Dalton Castle with a 43, Janela 39, Dunn 43. Great match by Dunn, I did not expect that. And Cody Hall 36. So a 40 rating, not great for the main event, obviously coming off that 44, but still a suitable main event for sure. JT Dunn's also improving performance. I think JT Dunn will eventually be a heavyweight champion, but as long as he's playing second fiddle to Cody Hall, obviously that's going to hold him back a little bit, and we'll see how long he keeps up with that. Could be a couple months, could be a couple years. I don't even know yet. I have a general idea of where I want Chaos to go, and I have some big changes coming this year, so within the next 10 episodes probably. Who knows what's next for Chaos? I honestly don't. I have a general idea, but I won't give too much away. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the show. And a 44, not the best event we've put on in recent weeks. Obviously the first UPW Fight Night on ESPN was like a 47, but it's also not the worst. So it's a pretty good go-home show, definitely built a lot of stuff, and I was very impressed with a lot of people's performances in the ring and on the mic. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into UPW Kings of Old School 2019. So we start off the show with Steve Carino in the ring with a microphone surrounded by security. So Carino says, "Homicide, I'm gonna cut straight to the point. I wanna kill you for what you did to Bill Carr. But I'm not going to let my anger get in the way of me regaining control over my company, because the last time that happened, I was banned from my own events. So I'm going to give you a match. No DQ, Amherst, New York, 1 month from now. If you lose, you will never show your face around here again, and if you win, I'll give you and your lapdog Alex title shots. There is one condition though. If you show up at any of my events before our match, I will have you arrested on the spot." Alex Colon emerges from the back, microphone in hand, to say, "Homicide accepts your conditions. You just signed your own death warrant, Steve." 41 rating, that's pretty good to start off the show. One thing I have noticed is that I do a lot of these segments where Steve Carino starts the show with a microphone, and I'm trying not to do that, but in this case, it was really the only place that it fit. So hopefully I'll be able to tone down on that crutch in the future, but as of right now, we'll just keep it going. Next segment. In a decent match, Cody Hall defeated Dalton Castle in 12:30 by pinfall with a razor's edge. Castle got a 45, Hall got a 31, rating 35, and this was really just kind of Cody Hall's revenge on Dalton Castle, even though he didn't get the pin. Let's say the story was Dalton Castle got some good shots in at Cody Hall wanted a match, Cody Hall got it. So just kind of a throwaway match to fill time and give Cody Hall something to do, at least until later in the night, as you will see soon. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment. Penelope Ford is walking backstage when she finds her partner, Barbie Hayden, laid out unconscious on the floor. Ford calls for help as backstage medical staff run to help Barbie. 52 rating, a great rating. And Barbie Hayden, who was supposed to have a title match with Vanessa Craven tonight because she was the one who got the pinfall in their previous match on Fight Night, obviously. she was set to have the title match, but now that she has been laid out backstage, it is unlikely that that'll happen. We'll see how this develops later on in the show. Moving on, a decent match. Chaos defeated Dijak and Morgan in 12:20 when JT Dunn defeated Matt Morgan by pinfall with a surprise cradle. Chaos make defense number 1 of their UPW tag titles. Obviously not a whole lot behind this. It was just kind of a random defense for Chaos. And Dijak got a 39 to Matt Morgan's 44. Obviously Matt Morgan's going to be a little bit higher for a while, but Dijak has been constantly improving, and I am very impressed with him. No skill improvements in this match, but Dijak is definitely one to watch. We'll see how he progresses in the future. Flex Freeman and Colby Carino have a heated confrontation with Chaos and eventually come to blows. Security swarms the rim to break them up before they can hurt each other. So a 32 rating, not great. It was just one of the heated confrontation default angles. I didn't really want to write this whole angle. This was just to kind of build heat between these two teams. Didn't really need to set out a whole angle for it, but I did want to build it up a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and move on. Bauer says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed that because of the injury she sustained earlier tonight, Barbie Hayden will not be able to compete for the Women's Championship, and instead will be replaced by her partner, Penelope Ford." Gertner says, "Barbie was in real bad shape earlier. Whoever did that to her has some kind of personal vendetta against the young lady." So, we really don't know who attacked Barbie Hayden. I guess the number one suspect is either Vanessa Craven or Leva Bates. It would certainly be out of character for Leva, but I suppose I could see it. She has lost a few times to the Bombshells, and obviously that cost her a shot at the championship. So maybe it was Leva, maybe it was Craven. Who really knows? But we'll go ahead and get into the match. And in this match, an extremely short match, Vanessa Craven defeated Penelope Ford in 4:36 by pinfall with a choke bomb. That is a scary sounding move. Vanessa Craven makes defense number 1 of her UPW Women's title. Penelope Ford was no trouble for Vanessa Craven. Unfortunately for her, she just was not able to compete. 40 rating, Penelope Ford actually outperformed Craven, even though this was an eye candy match, which I'm not too proud of, but it's the only way we can get a decent rating out of the Bombshells, and I guess it kind of suits their gimmick. But we'll go ahead and move on. A decent match, Jason Lee drew with Jason Kincaid when both competitors failed to beat a 10 count after a ton of interference from Chaos. So JT Dunn and Joey Janela attack Kincaid, and they leave Cody to handle Jason Lee. Obviously they weren't able to beat the 10 count because, they were being beat up. So we'll have to see how Steve Carino and UPW management handle this situation, as Chaos, for the second event in a row, has just decimated whoever they want to decimate. And earlier, obviously, Steve Carino said he wanted to try to regain control of his company, but that's not going to happen if the only person he's focusing on is Homicide. But I guess now that he is banned from future UPW events until that event in Amherst, he'll be able to focus on other things. We'll see how that works out. 39 rating. Jason Lee only got a 38, which is okay, pretty good. And Jason Kincaid got a 45, which is very good. Worker improvements, unfortunately none, but you can't really expect that at this point. They have both reached a level that they can compete for any title that they so choose, so for them to improve any more would be asking a bit much, even though Jason Lee is only like 20 something, so hopefully we can see both of them improve in the future. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the main event of the evening. Good heat and decent wrestling, Hanson defeated Ryan O'Reilly and David Starr in 1809 when Hanson defeated David Starr by pinfall, making defense number 3 of his UPW heavyweight title. Unfortunately, Hanson seemed off his game, but he still got a 47. Ryan O'Reilly debuted his power and paint gimmick and got a 46 to David Starr's 44 for only a 41 rating. It might have been the length of the match that caused that, but yes, Ryan O'Reilly is also improving in technical skills, so that's good. So unfortunately for David Starr, his one shot at the UPW heavyweight title was not successful. He was defeated by the champion and Ryan O'Reilly. He didn't even get pinned, so obviously he's not going to be too happy about that. As we see right here, a 66 rating to end off the show. After the match, David Starr and Ryan O'Reilly get into a shoving match before being pulled apart by security. Obviously, Ryan O'Reilly's probably going to have some words to say to David Starr at the next fight night, so stay tuned for that, guys. And we'll go ahead and end the show. A 45 rating, I think that's the same rating that Night of Champions 3 got. So pretty good, just about average I would say for what we're doing right now. Nothing too spectacular, but we also didn't have Kairi Hojo on the show, which is always a boost. But regardless, I do believe it was a pretty good episode, 245s and a lot of progression. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.